People told me I couldn't do a lot of things.
I feel like I'm the chosen one.
Look at this. We created this. This didn't exist before we were here. All we are is proud and passionate. I love Toronto. I love this team. And we're going to the NBA Finals. Let's go!
Nothing matters but winning.
Welcome back to episode 51 of Rapzville Weekly. I'm your co-host Gabriel, alongside
Adam Casucci.
And today we have the second preseason update for you guys. We just finished the game versus the Miami Heat, our last preseason game. Last episode, obviously, we talked about Charlotte. So this episode, we're going to talk about the Miami game and kind of getting ready for the regular season. Before we do that, like always, please like and subscribe. Check us out on any platform you'd like. We stream audio-only versions on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or just check us out on YouTube if you want some visuals along with the audio. And we hope you'll enjoy this episode. So to start us off, we had Game 3 of the preseason, December 18th. And the big performance that we want to talk about first is obviously Kyle Lowry, our leader and captain. Obviously, from what we saw, he had a fantastic game. His shooting stroke looked beautiful. He shot smooth, with confidence, and definitely in rhythm, which is what Kyle obviously likes. First game back, I thought he didn't look rusty at all. He obviously looked very confident. He was 2 for 3 from 3 in the first 5 minutes of the game. And he continued to knock down the 3-ball even in the second quarter. And it felt like he was just carrying the offensive load and definitely caught fire in the mid-third quarter. By the end of the game, he had 25 points, 3 assists, and 2 steals. For the first game of the season, obviously he sat out, rested for Charlotte. And we know that this could be a season where we see a lot more resting between the veterans in the league. And Kyle Lowry being, I guess, one of the older guys in our team, we can see him maybe sitting some nights out to rest because of the shortened season and not much of the off-season break. So from what we saw him coming in, I thought he just played fantastic, came out strong, and he definitely looked like he was in shape to have a good season.
Yeah, Kyle came out in rhythm. He looked like he hasn't missed a beat from last season to now. He just continued to perform, and he really shot the 3-ball well. I was wondering to see how that shot would hold up throughout the off-season. And it looked smooth. It looked great. He was stepping into his shot like I like to see. And he was the floor general like he always was. And I think he'll be playing heavy minutes this season as well, because Nurse, even though he says he wants to kind of restrict the minutes of Lowry and Fred, he always ends up playing them a huge amount of minutes. And I think it's just Nurse as a coach, he always wants to win the game and have the best players out at the most important time. So, I think Lowry's going to have a huge part to do this season, especially with scoring the ball and being one of the primary scorers, obviously, with Siakam and Fred as well. So we'll see how he does. He looked great coming out of the gate this first game, and it was a great performance.
For sure. Next we got Fred VanVleet. So for Freddie, what we saw obviously was throughout the game, it was clear that he was struggling to hit the 3-ball. Some of them obviously weren't the best shots, whether the clock would be low or he'd have someone contesting. But he just wasn't hitting them well. What we noticed, though, is that he was utilizing the mid-range a lot more, coming off screens especially. I think that now teams know that he is a big-name player. He obviously got his contract, so now he's a little more respectable, and people are watching that 3-ball. They know it could be a threat. So when the screen comes, people are looking to step high, and he's going underneath, and he's trying to hit some mid-range, some pull-ups, and it was working a little bit to his advantage. Sadly, he did struggle a lot that game shooting the ball, but he did do a good job of creating. He had 7 assists at the end of the night, but only ended with 7 points on 3 for 11 shooting, and it was 0 for 7 from 3. So the 3-ball was obviously just not falling for him that game. But it's obviously not something that we're going to be seeing throughout the year that much. We know that he is a confident shooter, definitely streaky, and he's obviously a great shooter in general. He'll bounce back from this game, I'm sure. But obviously this game wasn't his best, and we're hoping to see a good improvement for the actual regular season games.
Yeah, Fred is going to be carrying more of the load this season, obviously, and he's much more of a leader, I think, this year. And he's going to be helping the younger guards, telling them what to do, getting them in their sets for offense and defense. And in this game, I think even in the season in general, I think his mid-range is going to be a huge weapon for him, because I noticed that people are really stepping high on him and guarding him more tight than usual. And he's pump faking a lot, getting a lot of defenders to jump. So if he's doing that, the mid-range game does open up, and even his playmaking game comes into hand there. So we want to see him pull up from mid-range much more. And when he's open there, just take the shot. I know he's not a mid-range shooter and hasn't shot much of the mid-range. He's more of just a take it to the rim scorer, or either a 3-point shooter. So, I mean, the mid-range is another thing he can add to his arsenal. That will be very cool to see, and I think it will help the Raptors a lot in their offense.
Yep, for sure.
So now moving to OG. In this game, he was pretty quiet. I mean, he was stepping into the 3-ball. He was looking to shoot the 3, not just when open. But in these 2 past games, OG started off with a bang in the first Charlotte game, but he kind of took a back step here in the second Charlotte game and in the Miami Heat game. I don't know if he just wasn't shooting the ball a lot, wasn't being fed plays or being given the chance to make plays. I just don't want him to fall into that trap of being put in the corner and not being utilized to his full potential. I mean, he has so much more to offer than just being a 3-and-D guy. And our friend Enzo Minicucci, he always pointed that out. And I think, yeah, he could be a much better player if he can handle the ball, run plays on his own. And I think he can be a decent ball handler at the top and create plays for his team. And his playmaking ability has improved tremendously. So I think it'll be a great test for him. And I want to see more of him, more efficiency, more usage, especially. And I really want to see him have this breakout season that everyone's hoping he has.
Yeah, for sure. I want the same from him. Hoping he gets more touches, becomes more aggressive with the ball in his hands. I guess this game and even last game, it felt like he kind of just sat back a little bit more, a little more reserved. I felt like the first game he came out really aggressive, wanting the ball, taking it hard to the rack, creating plays, like he wanted to be involved. The other 2 games, I felt like he was kind of more in the back seat. In 22 minutes of play, he didn't really do too much. Ended up with 6 points, took 4 shots in the night, and they were all three-pointers, obviously. Like we said, he's looking to hit that 3-ball. He's more confident in it, that's for sure. We like to see that, especially his role in previous years. That was something we needed him for, to be that off-ball shooter, whether it be in the corner or on the wing. And it's good that he can hit it. We're just hoping that now he can take a next step because we do see a lot of potential in him, like you said, whether that be creating an offense, driving kicks, or his handle got a little better, his inside game. He hustles a lot more on the inside and he gets decent looks. Let's just hope he can capitalize on, the gifts he's been given.
Yeah. Moving on to Norm. To start the game, he was making good plays to start. He looked more confident in his offense this game, making smarter decisions on the ball. And then he kind of, in the end of the game or second half, he didn't look at his best again. Looking a little lost out there, just forcing the ball to the rim like he has been during this preseason. And I think it's just the preseason. I think with Norm, he's a very streaky player. I think he needs the most reps he can before the season starts. So maybe 4 games. If the Raptors did choose 4 preseason games over 3, it would have benefited Norm tremendously. But now since there's only 3 games, I guess he's just going to have to work really hard in the practices and try to get back to par because I do think he was out of rhythm in this preseason and he didn't look himself. And we always want him to be a double-digit scorer off the bench, bringing energy and being the leader of that second unit, especially this year with Serge Ibaka gone, right? So we need him to be a huge part of the team this year.
I 100% agree. Obviously, he hasn't performed that well in the preseason. This game, I guess, arguably could have been his best. He looked a little more confident than usual. But like you said, we need him to be that force off the bench. We need him to create, and he is an experienced player. So far from what we've seen, other guys are kind of surpassing him in valuable minutes and playing time. I think Malachi, TD, they both had, and even Bembry, they all had good performances when they were on the floor, and Powell just wasn't contributing like his regular self, and hopefully he gets back to that point he was at because we're going to need him off the bench. He's a very important asset to the team, and he's one of the more experienced players, especially coming off the bench. So he's got to use that to his advantage, and hopefully we see him take a step in the right direction coming up to the regular season, and he gets back to that form he was at last year when he took that huge stride in his game.
Yeah, Norm. We've got to see more of him, but hopefully he'll get back to his regular self for sure. Moving on to Pascal. Pascal has been up and down this preseason, but for the majority of the games he's looked solid, pretty consistent, and I liked his shooting as well. He needed to do a better job finding the wide open man. Which might be on the other side of the court. Defenses they tend to merge on the ball, obviously with him. which he usually finds himself attracting two guys. So if he takes a second to see his options, it will make his playmaking game so much more effective, finding the open man, getting the offense better shots, being the primary ball handler along with Kyle and Fred, right? So I think he needs to do a better job with that. He has been looking for the pick and roll game with Fred a lot. They utilize each other. They like playing with each other. Pascal always says he loves Fred's game, and it's one of the most interesting players he likes to watch. And Fred is vice versa. He loves watching Pascal and what he can do on the court. And Pascal was showing consistency from three in this game. Much better shooting than obviously the playoffs, 4 for 6. He was playing good in the post, creating space in the post, getting his hook shot and that spin to work. And I think that's a big part of his game, to get easy buckets and kind of get him more confident when he shoots those 3 balls and doesn't have to worry about the pressure being on him having to hit those threes, right? So if he can get his inside game going, it's a huge part. He ended off the game with 14 points, 9 boards at the end, but shot 5 for 15. I'm not really gonna take a crack at him for the efficiency, because I do think his stroke was looking good from 3, and I think the shots just didn't fall. But he played a really great game overall. Even defensively, I thought he played well, and I like to see the improvement on Pascal. And also, he has his new YouTube channel. If you guys want to check it out, it's Pascal Siakam Humble Hustle, and he's kind of taking a look at his off season and kind of deep diving into that and seeing all the work he's made coming into this season. So if you guys want to check that out, it's on YouTube as well.
Yeah, he's looking to recover from obviously last year, that playoff drought that he had, and his performance. Obviously, he knew that he didn't play well, just like everyone else, and he knew that people were saying a lot of bad things about him, and he said, he was going to try working his hardest during the offseason to make the difference, and that's what that series is kind of about. So it's good to see. Obviously, efficiency is not that good this game. I feel like he was struggling a little bit just to get some of those floaters or those hooks to land. He had a couple of them where they weren't the best shots to take, but he was, I guess, expecting a rebound for Baines or someone to clean up, because he did take some of those shots when he saw Baines under the basket. But he's having trouble just getting those soft touches to fall. But the 3-ball is something that I'm impressed about, because that was a huge downfall in his game in the playoffs. He was very struggling to shoot in general. Every game was 0 for 7, 0 for 6, 0 for 4. That one game he had 2 for 13 or something. So it's good to see that at least his 3 balls become consistent. Every game is shooting around 50% more or less, and 4 3-balls is a good amount for a power forward. I feel like we talked about the Fred and the Pascal thing. It's almost like Pascal wants to be a guard. He likes to handle, he likes to do dribble moves, he likes to shoot the 3, and Fred wishes he had more of his side, because he has to work so hard to make up for that it's almost like they want to trade bodies there and watching each other's games. But overall, I think Pascal had a decent game. Obviously, the shooting stroke is the most important thing that I like from 3, but he could be working on better job finishing near the rim, and he just did a decent job playmaking. But the problem is when he gets double teams, he tends to, I don't know if it's panic, but he gets double teamed a lot, and he's got to get a better job at finding the open man or keeping more awareness of the people around him. So moving on to Aaron Baines, what I saw from him was that he did a good job stepping up on screens for the Heat's sharpshooters, and in the first quarter at least, he did a much better job defensively, guarding shooters, guarding Bam, closing out space, and also staying composed to help with other teammates when guys were getting into the paint. And Tyler Hero, for example, would be blowing by someone. He'd be doing a decent job at staying in the paint and trying to provide some type of contest, whether it worked or not. But something we did notice was that he had to be cautious of moving picks and offensive fouls. Even in the earlier games, we saw it as well. It happened a couple times, but that's something that you kind of see common in big men. I think even Mark had a problem with it last season, so not the biggest thing to worry about. But something that we did see also as well is that the 3-ball wasn't really working for him, struggling to shoot in general, and he was losing his man and struggling offensively in the third quarter, which is where the first quarter I thought he was doing really good, and then it kind of faltered near the end of the game, and I felt like he started to lose his men defensively and became less of a presence. But he's still getting into things. It's only his 3rd game. I'm hoping he just gets a feel for the team, the switches, and we get stronger as a team defensively. That's something that I think Kyle pointed out, was that we wanted to be defensive monsters this year. And, that's always a good part of this team, and we were kind of built off that strong defense for the past, number of years. So I'm hoping we kind of put that together, because there was points in the game where people would be falling asleep and they wouldn't know whose man is who, or someone cutting back door. And part of that's due to chemistry. It happened a little bit when there was the bench on, and some of those players are first time signings or training camp deals, so we didn't really have the best chemistry going on. I'm just hoping as the season moves forward, we kind of work on that.
Yeah, Aaron, throughout these preseason games, he didn't look like he fit in too well. But I'm assuming in the third game, I saw a little bit better from him. And he also was matched up against Bam Adebayo in the third game. So that's a very tough opponent as well. He's going to be matched up with a lot of, obviously their other teams starting big man. So he's going to have to really up his game, I feel, on the inside. I think the offense just has to get him more involved as well. Give him more post-up possessions, get him into more pick and roll, pick and pop situations, even from the mid-range if he's struggling with the three. Getting him more involved. He does look, on the offensive end like he's just trying to set picks, and he's not really looking to get engaged in any action. I think Aaron Baines, I think he will improve, and I think he's the type of guy to adjust and kind of understand the system eventually, so I think he'll be okay.
Yeah. So for Matt Thomas, what we saw obviously from the start, like we kind of know, he isn't afraid to shoot. He's a pure shooter. So far at the beginning of the game, at least, he was playing that role. He was rapping, doing routes, catch and shoot, and he came in aggressive, looking to score, firing a lot of shots that he had. But I think we need to see more of the driving kick, because he did do it near the first game of the season. He knew that people were going to treat him as a shooter and that he had to contribute in other ways, whether that be driving and kicking or playmaking, because we saw that he's capable of doing that. So we're hoping to see a little bit more of that. And in the third quarter, we felt like he was kind of slowing down the offense, because when he had a shot that was somewhat open but someone would close him out, he would pump fake or maybe fake pass or something like that, and it would kind of just waste too much time, and it would just freeze the defense and frees our offense from creating anything. So that's something we hopefully he can fix. And to start talking about the fourth quarter, because some of these players we're talking about next kind of played majority of those minutes, it looked like we absolutely lost all rhythm at the start of the fourth. We shot 0 for 10 as a team, and Miami was on a 12-0 run, so we started to collapse there, and you're going to, I guess, notice that in some of the performances we talk about next.
We're looking at Matt Thomas. I feel like when he's put with the starters or the starting unit, I feel like he does play much better. When he is asked to play on that second or even third unit, I do feel he struggles to create his own offense just with ball handling and getting past defenders. But I do feel if he can work on his handles and could create more offense single-handedly, I think it will benefit his game so much. I mean, I think he's more than just a shooter off the bench, just a one-trick pony. Yeah. I mean, he's not just that. He can play make. He can do multiple things. He runs the routes. I think he's a great defender. I mean, he has been putting up his part defensively, and he understands the rotations. He might not be the most physical guy, but he's very smart, and he has a lot of IQ for the game. So with Matt Thomas, I think he's done a great job tremendously this preseason, and I want to see him continue that. So now looking at TD, he was working very hard, hustling on the offensive boards, tasking the baskets hard in quarter one. In the fourth quarter, he did also have a little bit of a drop off, missing his shots, rushing his offense, turned it over a bit, and had 5 turnovers at the end of the game. And I think that TD, I think he just has to bring energy to that second unit as well. He's been here for a year already, so he already knows what Nurse expects of the second unit. And obviously doesn't want the second unit to have a drop off from the starting unit. So I think TD's done a great job there. And I think he will receive a lot more minutes this season. Malachi, he didn't really get too much of a chance in this final game against the Heat. He had good defense, quick hands, struggling to make an offensive impact though. But he did make some nice passes. He had a lot of nice passes, even the alley-oop. And I think he has great vision as a point guard. And he didn't get much of a chance this game. There's not much to say about him this game. But he did play well. Yuta Watanabe, I'm very impressed by him. I'm really liking his game. He works hard, good IQ passing plays, good vision, quick hands, and using his length to his advantage. 2 3 balls as well he hit, so he's showing that he can hit the 3 consistently. And I like his game. He makes the right basketball play, and I really want to see more of him. They re-signed him, so I'm very happy. That's a great decision by the organization to keep Watanabe, and I think he's going to be a much better player. Chris Boucher, he was a bit up and down this game. He had a great offensive game, obviously hitting the 3 balls he hit and in a row, and that was like the spark off the bench that we really needed. Just in the defensive end, I think he just needs to be more solid defensively. Even in the interviews, Nurse always brings up that Boucher's offense is icing on the cake and that he needs more, just him playing more solid on the defensive end. Because, I think Boucher, when he does play solid, he will earn himself more minutes than just having an offensive maybe explosion one night. Nurse wants to see more of that consistency, that solid defensive play. And I think that's going to be the problem here with Boucher. If he's not going to get enough minutes, it's because of the defense and the size mismatches at the center position. Gabe, anything to say about Boucher?
Yeah, so like you said, offense was great. He started off, he was hitting the 3 ball, he was just doing good. The problem was that it was becoming like a trade-off because he was hitting the 3s, but then he was letting up baskets. And the defense was just a problem in general. The inside, he looked weak. He was kind of getting exploited. Wasn't timing his jumps, or the other team was using their strength to their advantage. They got a couple of strong players in their team, Miami. Let's not forget that. Plus the rookies or the younger players in their team were playing quite well that game, and they were able to get inside, make good shots, and he wasn't a paint presence, Boucher. He was struggling to rebound against some of their stronger players. And jumping, we talked about it a bit. He was still jumping at the 3 ball when guys would pump fake, even if they don't even look like they're pump faking. They're so far away, he decides to jump, and then they go right by him. And he's got to know that his length is superior, and he's very long, and he's quick, and he doesn't have to waste his time jumping because even his hands are long enough to just give some type of a contest. Yeah. He ended with 12 points and 2 blocks, but he just looked so out of it defensively. And then at the 4th, he was struggling. He missed a wide open layup, and then he forced a driving layup with like 2 or 3 guys on him, and he tried spinning around midair. I don't even know what was happening there. I'm just hoping that he shakes this one off and works on fixing the defensive stuff. Hopefully he watches back film and sees when he's making the wrong timing at jumping at a guy or something like that, because that stuff he can fix. It's not like it's a physical problem with the jumping. That's something he just knows his timing down. And then, continue with the weight room, and the bigs on the inside won't be as much of a problem. And he's got that offensive game rolling in terms of the 3 ball, so he should still be confident. Moving on to Deandre Bembry, what we saw is that he was good at attacking the basket like usual, creating space, and most importantly, movement off the ball, getting a nice flow with the offense by creating different angles, different cuts. And he set up nice plays purely out of hustle, whether that be in transition, cutting, hard drives, etc. Mostly in the second quarter we saw this. In the third, he had a worse quarter, though. The lack of shooting kind of showed, and even defensive end, he was struggling a little bit. Alex Len, we didn't really see much of him, only in the fourth quarter, and what we saw was that he had a poor shooting form. He tried shooting the 3 ball, it barely hit the rim, so that definitely wasn't a look for him that I think he should continue with. And that's pretty much it. We didn't really see too much of him. Watson, decent quarter from him. It started off rough a little bit. He missed 2 in a row, but then he eased himself into the game. He had back-to-back 3-pointers, and then the confidence kind of built, so that was important. And his counterpart there, O'Shea Brissett, he started rough as well, but he didn't have the turnaround. He just had a poor shooting night, bad missings. The form, it didn't look good at all. It was kind of like a laser beam arc towards the net, and it would hit like side rim. It didn't even look pretty, and it didn't look like it was going in at all. So that wasn't too nice to see. He was 0 for 3 from 3, and him on the floor, it didn't look like he was making the right plays, or his shot was just looking really off, so it was kind of a bad game to watch from him.
Yeah, just to cover this up, Len said he was working on his shooting ability before and after practice. He mentioned in an interview. Paul Watson, I'm very happy that he's re-signed here, and he really showed it in the preseason. And O'Shea Brissett, I'm pretty disappointed at the Raptors organization for letting him go. I think he just he wasn't in the first game against the Charlotte Hornets, so he was already delayed a game, and he didn't look himself in the preseason, and only getting limited minutes. So I mean, you just shoot 2 bad shots and you're already like on the chopping block. I feel that it wasn't fair to him, and he already spent all last season here. So yeah, I feel that was a bit harsh on the Raptors organization, but Masai has the moves coming, and he's gonna do what he has to do, I guess.
Yeah, so I guess because we're touching upon that now, O'Shea got waived along with Elise Johnson and Ellenson. O'Shea obviously had a bad game, so it wasn't a good look for him. I was hoping we could have kept him. Jalen Harris, I felt like didn't make much of an impact, and we already have a lot of talented guards. I felt like we needed some more big men, and we did let a lot of them go. O'Shea, he was definitely a talent, and he's been here for a bit. He was a quick player. He looked like he came out stronger in the second Charlotte game, but obviously he really had a bad shooting night against Miami, and it kind of didn't look too good on his part. Ellenson, we saw that he was just too slow, and he didn't really show too much upside besides that 3-ball. And Elise Johnson was athletic, but he didn't really bring too much on the table, and it wasn't that of a exciting night. And obviously, to just quickly say this, obviously the player of the game this game went to Kyle Lowry because obviously he had a outstanding performance. We all know that. But I guess what are you going to do now? We got to see what we're going to do with these 17 guys getting into the regular season.
Yeah, so we ended up, to summarize it up, we ended up losing at 117-105 against the Heat, finals contenders last year, and ended off the preseason with a 2-1 record. So solid play overall from the team. We did see some negatives and some positives in this preseason, and I really want to see what we could do this season.
Yeah, so what's happening now is that they've because of COVID, they've kind of extended it that you can have 15 guys on your active roster plus 2 more on the two-way. So our two-way contracts went out to Jalen Harris and Yuta Watanabe. Obviously, we loved Watanabe's game, so we're glad that we at least have him there. And then we got the 15 other guys, pretty much as everyone expects. We signed Paul Watson and everyone else was on the team previously, plus the people we picked up in free agency. So that's the team we're rolling with. Adam, I got a question for you. Just quickly, do you think that this performance in the preseason against the Miami Heat is going to be a reflection maybe of the regular season matchups? Because they obviously were missing some of their key pieces, including Jimmy Butler, and we still looked like we were struggling. Obviously, we played a little bit more of the bench players, and we're not in the regular season just yet, nor the playoffs where things get more intense and the lineups get cut. But do you think maybe some of the talent or lack of talent, let's say on this new team, some of the moves that we've made this season, do you think it affected the team's performance? And do you think like this is going to be a reflection of how the season goes against the Miami Heat?
Yes. I mean, to be honest, obviously on paper, we're much weaker than I think we were last season, obviously. And obviously missing Serge and Mark. But I do think that we can make changes and adjustments to benefit us with our new pieces. I mean, Boucher is a great addition moving into that backup position. I do think he has a lot of potential. I do feel that he can be a great scorer in this league as well, from that center position, using his speed either to get in open areas to get shots, or even just to play his pick and pop game. I mean, he's a great pick and pop player, pick and roll player. He can do both to an elite level. Rim runs very well. So I do think that this season, I do think we can make a big impact, and I do think the players we have, obviously with Kyle, Fred, OG, Norm, Pascal, they all understand the system. I just feel that we have to stick to our identity in Raptors basketball, playing defense like Lowry said.
I agree.
And I think that's honestly the key. We can't fall into the trap of thinking we're an amazing offensive team, play a couple games great offensively, and then kind of forget about the defensive end, because we're made from defense. This organization, the culture is defense first, and then offense is an extra, right? So that's what I think.
Okay, so to close this one out, Adam, why don't you just give us like last episode, a breakdown of the other team's performance, some of their standout players.
So Max Struss and Okpala, new players for the Miami Heat, were huge problems for us this game, especially in terms of being the 3-point threats. Struss had 22 points on 8 out of 11 shooting with a whopping 6 threes, so great performance from him. Okpala also had 6 threes of his own, totaling 24 points and 5 rebounds. Precious Ochoa also showed off his strength this game, capturing 15 boards and putting up 13 points in 22 minutes of play. And a reminder is just that Struss and Ochoa, it's their first years in the league, so they really showed out in this game, showing Spoelstra that they do belong in the rotation.
Yep, quite impressed. Struss's ability to hit the 3-ball. Okpala as well at that 4 position. They looked fantastic, and they were blowing us away with how much shots they were hitting, their confidence, their energy, getting open and not being afraid to shoot. It was honestly good to see, and I think they're going to be good additions to the Heat. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We hope you all enjoyed. Like I said at the beginning, like and subscribe. You can check us out on all of those platforms. On Instagram at Rapzville for NBA news and Raptors content. You can find us there. And as always, we hope you enjoyed. That's us signing out.
Peace.